First Sunday after Christmas. Let's sing together. This is the day that you have made. Whatever comes, I won't complain. For all my hope is in your name. And now your joy awaits my praise. Set my feet on higher ground. So here I stand. You are my God. Your faithfulness, my solid rock. Oh, I give thanks for all you have done, and I will sing of your mercy and your love. Your love is unfailing, Lord. Church, let's sing this together. And as we lift our hands, the heavens open, heavens open. So let our lives declare the love our God has spoken over us. And as we lift our hands, the heavens I count on one thing. The same God who never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will. never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will. I choose to pray, to glorify the name of all days. Nothing can stand against. I choose to pray, to glorify the name of all days. Nothing can stand. Come on, every voice. I choose to pray, to glorify the name of all days. That nothing can stand against. Yes, I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all days. That nothing can stand against. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will all my days. Yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will. Let's give Jesus some praise this morning. Thank you so much for worshiping with us. Take a second, turn to the person next to you, and welcome them here today.
Welcome. Good morning. Happy New Year's Eve. That's what this day's called, right? New Year's Eve. We're glad you all are here. I'm Jennifer, the women's ministry leader. We're so glad to have you and welcome those of you watching online. Thank you for letting us be a part of your morning. If you're in town and you feel like it and you can, we would love to see you in person. So you're welcome to join us anytime. Generosity is one of our core values, as we all know that. Giving away what God has given us. He doesn't need anything from us, but He knows that we need to give back to Him. He has given exceedingly more than we could ever ask for, hope for, or imagine. And it is a privilege to give back to Him. And so we have been generous. Your generosity, we've been able to do much more together than we could ever do apart. There's 3 ways to give. Online, you can text to give, or you can stick it in the bucket as it goes by. Whatever way you choose, thank you for your generosity. I'm going to pray, and then the ushers will come forward. Father, you're a good Father. You are so generous to us. You exceedingly, immeasurably do more than we could ever hope for, ask for, or imagine. You're so generous. You're faithful. You're trustworthy. You're a good Father. Father, would you help us to be generous to you and with others? Father, would you bless these offerings to further your kingdom, for the fame of your name here in this city, in our own church, in our city, in our nation, and around the world. Father, you are worthy of all honor and all glory, and we praise your great name. In Jesus' name, amen. Some of you may be brand new here, and welcome. If you are a VIP. You are very important to us, and we would love to meet you. We have a Next Steps card. It's in the seat back in front of you. Fill that out. turn it in. There's a Next Steps desk out there. We have a small gift for you, a friendly face. We want to meet you. Also, that card is not just for brand new people. It's for any of us that are taking our next step, and we all have one. Maybe yours is baptism or discipleship or serving, whatever. Fill that out and take that to the Next Steps desk as well, and it's our privilege to help you take that next step. We also have a story room. The story room wall is out these doors. It says story room. I have a story that makes me uniquely me, and you have a story that is just yours as well, just makes you who you are. And we want to hear your story. Maybe why you come to Abundant Life, why you joined, and what God is doing in your life, how He's changing you, how how you're seeing Him grow you. We want to hear your story. So go out there, and there'll be pastors and staff out there to visit with you. Another thing we have coming up in just a few weeks is our Leader Exchange. It is it's business people all around the metro will come here. We have networking. It's great, learning great leadership skills. It is January 16th. It's called the Leaders Exchange, and it starts at 8 a.m., and you can register online at abundantlifels.com/exchange. Invite your business colleagues, your friends, invite them here. It will be a great time of networking and learning. We're glad you're here. Let's continue celebrating and looking back at what God has done in 2018.
I'd say 2018 was a pretty good year. What do y'all think? I love a video like that. Our video team, man, they did a great job putting that together, just giving us a quick little recap of what 2018 had. And we call this service our Rewind service. And what the goal of this service is to show what God has done here at Abundant Life in the past year, and also just get excited about what he's going to be doing in the next year. So we're gonna spend some time giving you some behind the scene glimpses into what we do, and we're also gonna just celebrate some of what our ministries are doing here at Abundant Life. And it's always a little bit of a struggle to try to pick some moments to fit into a service. So what we decided to do this year is actually let's look at what happened this year through the lens of our core values. We know and believe that these are so important to us. So we kind of broke some moments out. So I tell you what, on Instagram, we asked the question of what was your favorite moment from 2018? If we don't hit it today, log on there, let us know what it was. We'd love to hear. And so to start it all off, we're going to be talking about community, and that's the idea that people need people. And to kick that off, we have Pat Kuntz up here. He's our senior adults and care pastor. And Pat, tell us a little bit, how did you get here? How long have you been on staff?
Well, my wife and I, we showed up here with our two girls about 21 years ago. Walked through the doors of the little brick building just looking for a church, maybe like a lot of you all, to a place where we could raise our kids and learn more about the Lord. And you know what? We never left. And the great thing is God gave us many opportunities to get involved in ministry. And then for about the last 10 years, I've been on staff.
That's awesome. And I've been on staff with you for about 5 years. Before that, actually, one of the first kind of opportunities I had to lead worship was when Pat was the young adult pastor, and he led a ministry called Merge, and they had a night called Submerge. Do we have anyone who attended Merge in the room? Yes.
All right, there's a few people.
You got a few.
All right.
I always get nervous asking those questions when there's no response. So you got it, man. You got your people. So, but now with where you are, one of the areas of ministry that you oversee, in part with the food pantry, the benevolence that our church does in so many other areas, is a ministry that we call A-Joy. So would you just explain a little bit to everyone here, what is A-Joy?
You bet. So A-Joy is an opportunity that we have that's the third Tuesday of every month, and we have an opportunity to come together with senior adults, 55 and older, to have just a day of fun and fellowship. And so we come together, start about 10 o'clock in the morning, come together, have some fellowship, then they'll break out all throughout the building here, and they'll have games and crafts, wood carving, they'll do some music, they watch a movie. And then after that's all over, we come back, we have a great lunch together, and then we'll come in here and we enjoy some entertainment.
It is true, the lunch is truly great. I may or may not have faked being 55 a couple times to partake. But on top of that, I tell you what, I found to be true. They've just recently moved to this facility, which has been so exciting. They've actually outgrown at the admin building. But while they were there, they would watch movies, and I tell you what, they would shake the office wing of our building with their bass. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is going on? They're like, oh, they're watching October Sky. For those of you who don't know what that is, they launch rockets a lot in that movie. So all you'd be sitting there, you'd be typing, and you're like, oh my gosh, felt like you're sitting on the sinking rocket ship. So it's awesome. So if you like movies, it is a place to go. And but with that, like I said, we just recently moved here, and through this lens of community and whatnot, we really want to just highlight this. So could you explain, why do we do A-Joy? Why is it so important to us as a church?
Well, I'll tell you, the vision for A-Joy started a little over 10 years ago. There was a gal here in our church, her name's Dorothy Whitcomb, and she had a vision for reaching out to the senior adults in our community. And it's not just the seniors that are in our church body, but also there's other churches that have senior adults. They don't necessarily have opportunities to get together and to fellowship. Plus, here in Lee Summit, we have a lot of retirement communities. And so it was an opportunity to invite those folks to come together and to have fellowship. And but more importantly, it's what A-Joy stands for. The A stands for abundant, because we know that Christ came that we might have life and have it to the full. But the J stands for Jesus. That is who is at the center of everything. And she wanted Jesus at the center of everything. And then O stands for others. And then the Y stands for you. And so she put together an incredible team, and it's just been going ever since. It's an incredible ministry where people can come, they can feel welcome regardless of what church they've come from or what their background might be. They can feel the love of Jesus, they can meet new people, make new friends, and hopefully if they don't know Jesus, they'll definitely be introduced to him.
That's so good. And I know I love any opportunity that I get to come over and just get to walk through and just shake hands, give hugs. It is one of the most loving groups of people that meet here. And so if someone is in this room and they're over the age of 55, they're interested in getting a part of A-Joy, how would they go about doing that?
Well, if you want to come and be a part of this, it's the third Tuesday of every month. And you need to make a reservation, though, because that's how we make sure we got enough good food for you. So if you call the church and tell them that you want to come to A-Joy, we'll put you on the list and give you an opportunity to come and fellowship and be a part of that. So, and then one other thing that's even more, most important in that, if you want to come, invite a friend. Because that's the reason why it grew, is because Dorothy always said, you need to not only come, but invite somebody else. And, that's how it's grown. That's why we are where we are today.
So good. Well, Pat, thank you so much. Would you all give Pat a hand here?
Thanks, buddy.
So kind of in the same vein, like I said, we had the opportunity to move, A-Joy moved into this building, and another ministry that just recently moved in here as well is our Paradigm Young Adult Ministry. And got a few, come on. But yeah, we love this because we've always said that we don't want this building to be a trophy. We want it to be a tool that we can utilize for the gospel. And so with this move, it's allowed Paradigm, to explode. Literally, they came into this building and immediately grew by like over 100 young adults. And really the heart of Chad and Josiah is to reach the millennial generation, or the 20s and the 30s, somethings as they say, early professionals with the gospel. And it's a generation that can so easily be uninterested in church or disinterested because they want to be a part of something, and maybe they feel like they've been burned by the church, so they don't maybe like what they feel the church stands for. But what Paradigm has done is built that bridge to bring them back to the truth of who Jesus is and what he's doing in our community. And as I've talked with Chad and Josiah, I asked them, hey, listen, could you give me a story? Because I know that community is something that they hold incredibly dear. And they sent me this. I'm going to read it to you. And they said, we have seen hundreds of young adults take their next steps by joining a community group this year. One young adult in particular is a guy named Michael. Now, Michael went from being the all-star tailgater, living for himself in the weekend, to saying that their life is so much more with following Jesus. He surrendered his life to Christ, got connected in community, and is now shepherding other young adult men in community week in and week out. Community has been the medium by which Michael has gotten traction in his transformation. Can we just give Jesus some praise for that? And we really do believe that community truly does give you the traction to see life change. And so if you are interested or you're looking for community, please stop by our Next Steps desk. We'd love to connect you and get you plugged in with that. And as we continue on, as we move into our next area of discipleship, this man needs no introduction, but we gave him one anyways. So here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, James Hamilton.
Hello.
So you made it.
Just made it. There wasn't much time to get on there, Dave.
We thought, this would be great. Let's put the intro to the Journey Today show as is, and we forgot how short it was. And it's a long way.
And how slow I am.
That was probably the deeper part of it, wasn't it? Next time. But hey, man, you just made a transition this year-ish to a new role.
Yes.
And so you went from being our children's pastor to our family pastor.
Yes.
How's that tracking for you?
It's going great, thanks. Yeah, really good. I'm learning a lot. Really trying to put myself out there and be more available for parents and equipping parents, as well as being involved in kids ministry still.
That's awesome, man. And I know one of the big things that you all implemented this year was what we call the Journey Today show.
Yes.
Which is exciting. And man, I tell you what, you help write the show, correct?
Yes.
So the question that I have, maybe you all do, maybe you don't, is you guys have done some pretty crazy stuff on that show. One that comes to mind is getting the Lee Summit Bomb Squad to help you guys blow up a watermelon.
Yeah, we just do normal things.
Just normal things. This is what they hang out and do.
I have a very normal job.
I would say, and I believe that Jeremy had a really terrible couple days after eating a what?
He ate a habanero pepper.
Yeah.
All in one go. So he had a rough night that day. Yeah.
Eating it wasn't so bad though. But I tell you what, he he's a trooper.
He took one for the team.
He did. And I know you all have some more things in store potentially.
Yes, so spoiler alert, we've got an episode coming up soon where Jeremy and I both eat real bugs, like as a competition. So, you know, it's all for Jesus, so it's okay.
As a parent, I thank you as I've trained my 3-year-old and my 2-year-old to stop eating bugs.
This will reintroduce the concept.
I was going to say, now they're going to say, Daddy, I'm doing it for Jesus. I'd be like, no. Tell you what, man, they learned some great things and some things I don't know. But seriously, it's been awesome to watch. Seriously. My kids, I tell you what, even being 3 years old, I remember sitting down with them and they, you know, these crazy antics that I'm still not sure how you come up with.
Well, I don't really know how we come up with the ideas either. We just, every couple of weeks, myself, Jeremy, and Mac, who does the video production, we just get together. We start with the curriculum the kids are exploring in Journey Kids, and then we just try and think of, like, how can we just, in a really crazy, fun way, entertaining way, get to that teaching point, help the kids understand. Because in the end, if it's not fun, then nobody's going to watch it. So, and we think, well, do we find that entertaining? Will that be fun to do? So, I don't know how some of these ideas come through our minds, but we just go for it.
They're great. They truly make it fun. And one of the things I just thought was so interesting is you guys considered, you know, utilizing a tool of some kind to help with the family dynamic, help families grow closer together. You made the decision to do this show, to put it on YouTube. Why would you do that?
Well, really, it does come down to discipleship. Is, you know, when you're a parent, you pick your kids up from Journey Kids and you ask them, did you have fun? And they're like, yes. And what did you learn today? And they're like, about Jesus. You know how hard it is to get kids to explain what they've learned at church on a Sunday. And so this video really is to go to the parents and say, here, this is what we did. This is what your kids are growing in and learning and exploring. And so it's a tool. It's a tool for parents to go, hey, well, let's have fun. Watch this short film. Very accessible, very easy. And within the film, we tell the Bible story. We have a big idea. We have Bible verses. But also we have discussion questions. So it really is to get parents and kids talking together about spiritual things. And some of the feedback that we've had from a lot of parents is we had some incredible conversations with our kids. Yeah. Now, the reason we use video, it's basically where kids are at. Elementary kids watch YouTube more than they will watch TV. And we just can't assume that kids are always just going to come every week to church. It's, you know, life has changed, society has changed. This thing called a phone, a screen, has changed how we live. And so we as a church want to be out there, and we want to get into people's homes, and we want to help equip parents to grow in their faith.
So good. I love the fact because our message hasn't changed, but the methods with how we get that message to them, they have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want to encourage you, if you have not seen it yet, I would encourage you to check it out. If you're wondering what we're talking about, if you go to YouTube and you actually search the Journey Today show, you can find the channel, subscribe to it. You can also go to our website, abundantlifels.com/family.
Yep.
And you can find the link there. And man, we'd encourage you, do this with your kids. It will give you an opportunity to disciple your children, which is so vitally important. And we talk about a lot. I mean, you guys do a great job putting that together, Mac. Man, it's a polished, beautiful product.
Well, thank you. Mac makes us beautiful. It's not actually real.
He told me though, that's not all just one and done.
One and done.
One take and you're just good?
Yeah, we never make any mistakes. It's all very polished and clean. We never have any issues.
I feel compelled to remind you we're sitting in a church right now.
Yeah, no.
And you just became the lightning rod of everything as you lie through your teeth like that. Because I just so happen to have a video that shows that things don't always go according to plan.
No.
The people of Israel wanted...
There's a dog down here.
It's just a random dog.
It's a camp dog.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
It smells... Woo!
So
So Moses still says no.
Moses didn't say no.
Oh.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Journey Today show. It's good to see you guys.
Hey. All right, we done? Hey, I'm not doing that again.
Would you all give it up for our family ministries? So we'll talk about a couple times, a lot of times what we do here on a Sunday morning, we really believe we have the greatest story to tell, and that's the story of Jesus. And in that, we spend a lot of time trying to rehearse, trying to put together, a product that is, there's no distractions in the midst of it. And we do some of our illustrations here in the building, and others we do via video, and we call Phil the one-take wonder. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to talk in front of a camera, but if you do, one, it's for some reason terrifying. Two, those 5-minute testimony videos that you see, that's like 3 hours of shooting. Because everyone's like, wow, they're so articulate, the way they tell their story. It's a lot of editing. I've had my story told, so I can attest to that fact. But Phil has this uncanny ability for us to say, Phil, these are the 3 things we need you to hit. We need to be seamless, we need to look nice, and he's just like, all right. And Pastor Phil steps up, shoots it one time, and it's done. And so I'm gonna show you an illustration. It's a great illustration that Pastor Phil brought to us. We did not do it in the building out of fear that we may burn the building down, so.
Well, church, the Bible says in James 3 that the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. It has the power to burn down a forest fire, it has the power to burn down a marriage, a family, even a church. And the reality is Satan is always starting little fires in our life. He plants a little fire with our family, a little fire in our marriage, maybe a fire in our church, a fire in our community. What happens next depends on what you do with your word. You know what Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers. Our responsibility, first and foremost, wherever possible, is use our mouth to extinguish that flame. But some of us, honestly, we like to be the propellant. I've got a propellant here. It's Axe body spray. Kind of takes me back to when I had middle school boys in the house. But I've chosen this because you know what? It's all about you. It's about you proving you're right. It's about you proving that what you say is true. And so consequently, Satan starts with a little fire and you come along because so much of the time it's all about you, and you throw some fuel on that fire, and all of a sudden that little flame has become a gigantic fire capable of burning down our church, burning down your home, burning down your family. You see, it all begins with what you do with your mouth, and first and foremost, what's going on in your heart.
Man, oh yeah, that's a good word, isn't it? Man, so good. So the fun thing is, because Pastor Phil is so obviously an incredible communicator, are you all thankful for your pastor, by the way, and what he brings? I know I am. I consider myself blessed to work under such a man of God, and I can tell you fully that the man you see on the platform each and every week is the man that you get off the platform anywhere that you go. But it's fun every now and then to watch something like that not go totally according to plan for him.
You have a choice at that moment to either take your mouth and make peace, or take that mouth. Oh man.
He carries it well, though. He carries it so well. So, but we love getting to put together what happens here on a Sunday morning. And speaking of the we, this is my boss, Sean Struckmeyer. Can you give it up for him?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You didn't share about your thoughts on Acts.
That's true. So that's a very good point. So previous services, the thing that struck me as I saw this Acts, he says it reminds me of middle school. Well, for me, probably more high school. I won't admit to college. But the thing that we called Acts was shower in a can.
That explains a lot, though.
It does, even still. If you don't have time to make it home, man, you just reach over, grab it. Eventually the funk would set in. But the beauty of it is it's not that expensive. You just spray some more on.
We should probably move on to the next topic,
I
think.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, man, Sean and I, we have the opportunity each week to come out here and to lead worship. And, man, we consider it such a privilege. And I'm just going to apologize for myself and for Sean for the times that we may go blowing by you in the lobby in what appears to be panic as we run to the stage. And the thing with us is that the feed music, some of you may know the feed music, others may not. For us, that is absolutely terrifying to hear when you're standing on this side of the building. Would
And
you
you're
agree?
supposed to be right here in about 3 seconds.
Yes. So we've had a few experiences. One of them actually early on in the building. Phil, we have kind of cues of when we're supposed to come out to kind of support him in the closing, and one of those cues is typically his prayer. And with that, he kind of expects that we're there. And one of the first times we're standing out in the lobby having a conversation, and we hear him praying. And let's just say that Phil, I've never heard him pray so long in my entire life.
Well, listen, you don't want Phil mad at you. Trust me. It's not. Where were you? No.
Yeah.
He's pretty gracious, but
He was
you
ready to
certainly
lead the
don't want to
closing song,
disappoint him in the moment when we're having an altar
That's right.
call, right?
You all saw him lead Joy to the World a few weeks ago. The man is more than capable to do it. So he was prepped and ready to go. But Sean, I have, since then we've worked hard to be to stage on time and ready. But I do have a video of you that shows maybe
I wanna see it.
a different moment. Let's check this out.
Coming on the clouds, kings and kingdoms will bow.
So I want to know, who caught what was wrong in that video?
Wait a second. I was not late.
How can you not say you were not late?
Dude, you were just early.
Oh my gosh. Let's provide context for this really quick. I had already welcomed everybody. We had already counted in. We were already rolling. And you looked like the lead singer of a band that was making your final big boom.
It was just, yes, okay.
You can't
But
say
it wasn't, listen. Okay, I don't have a lot to say. I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's funny.
This has been a discussion in the creative arts office for probably 3 months.
Yes.
on
What
whether-
constitutes being late to the stage?
Yeah.
So let's look, watch. Okay. Music started, and in walks mysterious silhouette through the back.
Yeah.
Now watch the camera guys try to figure out who they're supposed to look at. Ready? And the smile.
Yeah, David's got that impish grin on his face.
I gave this away in the last services, but truly, if you ever want to know if something hasn't gone totally according to plan, if you see Sean and I look at each other with kind of this little grin, something, Lord willing, that you did not notice just happened.
Well, what they don't know is we can't really hear on the stage all that well, so we have these in-ears, and the amount of things that go on in our in-ears while we're leading worship is just, it's unfathomable,
Yes.
quite frankly.
The Sunday that our sound guy, David Jones, who is a rock star. Could you just give it up for our tech team, by the way? These
Yeah,
guys
they do
are
a great job.
rock stars.
They do awesome. Yeah.
We were just introduced a new song, and Sean was making up
Wait
a
a
melody
second.
line to start the song. You didn't remember. And David Jones, our sound guy, began singing the song into your ear.
I do remember that. It wasn't even close.
So,
I did. I forgot the melody line completely.
yes, that's
But
happened more than once. Sean
I
has
may
this
change the
uncanny
melody
ability to
line.
make up melody lines on the fly.
I may make up melody lines. I have never changed theology.
That's true. I'll give you that much. Yet. So, but I tell you what, we love doing what we do, and we really believe that this idea and this core value of worship, all of me for all of him. So we try to craft, these worship times where you can encounter Jesus. It's not about us. It's not about the flash of the lights. We believe in beauty. We believe in creating what you see, what you hear, that is beautiful. And we really want to put a smile on Jesus' face each week. Yeah. And we consider it a privilege.
Yeah, it's something that we're really intentional about. So we think and talk a lot about what kind of songs we'd like to introduce in here. We want to make sure that we're doing a really good range of songs where we're singing some hymns and some new songs because the Bible talks about those things. And I don't always like the songs that get tossed across my desk. In fact, this is one that I didn't like originally. We introduced a song called Rebel Heart. Do any of you remember that song, Rebel Heart? Yeah, it's a great song. I didn't like it to begin with. David, you brought that to me. So why don't you share a little bit why you brought that song?
Yeah, we always strive, if we can, to have our songs tie in with what Phil's teaching. And it was during the second Imagine series that we did. We had a 2-year Imagine campaign. We did at the beginning of last year and the beginning of this year. And Pastor Phil came and he had broken it down into this idea of the series being the dream, the distraction, the death, and the destination. And what he was teaching all is this idea that, we all begin with a dream. And a lot of times it can be a God-centered dream, sometimes it's not. But in our pursuit of God, and sometimes the pursuit of the dream, we get distracted from the thing that matters the most. And what God typically has to do to bring us back is there has to be a little bit of a death of the dream, or the death of the thing that we thought we needed, that we thought we wanted. But ultimately, in that death, we can actually arrive at the destination that God truly has for us. And as I sat back and I'm thinking through this, we wanted a song for that last week. The song Rebel Heart started, and man, it resonated with me, this idea of a rebel heart. And how my heart is so prone to wander, prone to go after the things that David wants, and not the things that God wants. And as I'm listening to the song, I'm loving the idea, and it hits the bridge, and the bridge says, "For I know the future you have planned for me is so much greater than my hopes and dreams." And to me, that moment in the song is so vitally important for us to recognize that we think we know what's best. But what I've come to discover is that God's plan is always better. And it says, there's so much greater than my hopes and dreams. So with my hands held high, to my knees I fall. Here on earth and heaven, I surrender all. And I think in that moment, as we worship as a church, this idea of surrendering, this idea of all of me for all of him, my dreams for what he has, is just so important. And when we work together, we find a song like that. It works, it resonates with our church. And just another one that came kind of a little bit later in the year, but it's one that you brought. And as we were kind of in a time of a church of figuring out what do we need to be singing, and that song is Who You Say I Am. And I'm gonna get my guitar because we're gonna sing some of these, but would you explain maybe the heart behind that?
So, and this is what I love about the staff that God's provided here. We get a real good spectrum of things. All of us have a rebel heart. I mean, look at David. I mean, and it's,
Staff as well, so.
But on the flip side, I think one of the things that we were wrestling through last year, just I think in some of our own lives was, hey, who really am I in relation to who Christ is? And I think if we're all honest, we all have a little bit of that question in us, don't we? All of us have a little bit of a dark side to us that you don't know what goes on in my head sometimes. But here's the reality. We all have a closet. But when we step into the light of Jesus, there's something that Christ does for us that changes everything, and he accepts us and he forgives us. And it's that beautiful moment when we can deliberately and definitively say, I'm a child of God. I have been changed by the depth of love that Jesus had for me, and I'm a child of God. And so that really seemed to resonate with our church, and we want to invite the worship teams out here. And why don't you stand with us? Let's sing these songs together and worship together as we now know a little bit of the background of why we introduced these songs to our body here.
And I was born a rebel, fighting for a dream. When I lost the battle, the walls came down on me. Then you stole my heart and released me with a call. Out of my rebellion, a slave to tyranny, began a revolution to bring me to my knees. Found my life when I found the power to withdraw. And I let go, and I let God be my vision, my strength and song. And not my will, but yours be done. I surrender my rebel heart. For you know the future you have planned for me now will be much greater than my hopes and dreams. With my hands held high into my knees, I fall. Here on earth and heaven, I surrender all. For you know the future you have planned for me now will be much greater than my hopes and dreams. With my hands held high into my knees, I fall. Here on earth and heaven, I surrender all. So I
y'all can have a seat. I'm really grateful for these singers and this band and these guys that lead us in worship every week, and I'm honored to be able to lead them. I'm just encouraged each time we come into this place by what we have an opportunity to do each week. And one of the areas that we want to kind of move to now is this area of serving, because we really do believe this phrase that changed people serve people. And many of you serve all over this congregation. You serve all over this church every single weekend. One of the areas that serves every single weekend and every time these doors are open that we don't typically honor is our facilities team. And I'll tell you what, these guys work feverishly to get Sunday ready for you, to get this facility ready for you. You know, when we have carnival, when we have polar party, leaders exchange, these sorts of events, you guys come and enjoy it, and a lot of you serve at it, and we're so thankful for that. But these guys and gals, they spend the early parts of the morning setting up and tearing down. When it snows, oh my gosh, they're here really, really early, clearing these parking lots for you. They help keep on the like David said earlier, they help us not burn the building down. You know, here's something that you need to know. We do a lot of examples on this stage that involves our facilities team. Sometimes, and I'll own this, sometimes I forget to ask them. We had a goat on the stage. Goats poop. Did not tell them that the goat was going to be on the stage. So we had to clean up some stuff. Another example of what, they help us really navigate some of we do have some laws and stuff that we need to adhere to. One morning I was sitting back stage, Chad, our teaching pastor for Paradigm, was teaching, and he brought out one of those wax things that you put in your ear and you burn it. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. I didn't know he was gonna light it. He lit it. I'm sitting back here, and all I smell is smoke. I'm like, I didn't know. And all of a sudden, the facilities team comes running in, trying to figure out what was burning. But these guys are the unsung heroes of what happens every single weekend here. So what I want to do is give the most massive round of applause to these people. So if you could, let's do that. Let's just thank them for what they do in this place. They're amazing. Yeah. I wanted to give you a little glimpse today into our creative arts department and what really does go on back there. I'm going to invite one of our designers, his name's Jared, onto the stage, and he'll be out here in a second. I get this question all the time. What do you do for 40 hours a week? Like all the time. My father-in-law asked me this question. And I want to show you a little bit of what we do for 40 hours a week. And so we have a creative arts team. It's a staff of about 11 that I get to lead, and I'm honored to lead it. And Jared here is a new part of that team. Jared, how long have you been here?
Like 4 months.
Yeah, what's my name?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Sean,
he's still figuring out names. But so you've been here about 4 months, but you've been part of this church for a while,
Yeah.
right? So you've been part of the church for how long? Just want to maybe explain a little bit.
Since high school, yeah. I remember way back then, Lance was my youth pastor, and I remember, like I always say, I remember him showing up to my track meets and kind of being like, who is this guy? Why is, yeah. But yeah, so like 2004 or 5 or so, way back then.
So many of you were here the last 4 weeks to see the series Due Date. Do you remember that?
Hopefully.
Just want to make sure.
Look familiar a little bit, maybe.
So Due Date, about 4 months ago, we started talking about this idea of what does it really mean. I knew Phil was going to be teaching through some deep theology through Revelation, and we had this discussion around our creative arts team. Okay, what do we want this to look like, feel like? I was kind of leaning towards it being a little bit more humorous and funny because I knew the topic would be so heavy. So how do we balance that?
Yeah.
And then, so what were some of the things that we came up with?
Yeah, we threw out there like a birth announcement, kind of, like you would get in the mail or something, and pictures of nursery or a crib or whatever. And
then the somehow the discussion gravitated towards, okay, this is a pretty significant moment in the history of all mankind.
Yeah.
How can we make this a little bit more reverent?
Right, yeah, as we talked about it more, is like the weight of Emmanuel, God with us, was kind of, it seemed like it demanded more of a kind of a weighty treatment and something. And we kind of talked about it more and more, just the arrival of the king and in a manger of all things. And so we wanted to communicate that kind of royalty and majesty in that way.
We love the whole, stained glass window kind of look.
Right, yeah.
Can we incorporate something like that? And you all need to know, we do in the creative arts ministry, all of this is stuff that we design and write and create. And so this is the final piece, right? And each corner had a portion of what Phil was talking about.
Yeah.
Working, worship, walking, and then the center was the manger.
Yeah.
But can you talk us through this? Because this frightens me.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the design programs we use, Adobe Illustrator, and so this is my artboard where I'm working and creating, all the pieces and working through, at this line and that line, and how's this icon gonna look, and what's, I'm gonna do 10 versions of this icon, try to figure out the right one for it or whatever, and kind of resolving the overall graphic to where it'll look right and be good in the end.
And then you go to here.
Yeah, so this is all those pieces now. I'm putting them together and making them happen, but they're still their own paths. So all those lines are all these different paths and all that. And then eventually it becomes like that. So that's, the graphic is starting to get resolved and to work together and be one thing.
Amazing, man.
So,
yeah. And then you get to this section where these are the icons that we put in the corner.
Right, yeah, so these are some of the icons, and just kind of on the left is the really clean straight lines, and just to make it feel a bit more organic and natural, we kind of roughed up the edges a little bit, just attention to detail and things like that help it feel just better. Communicate well. And then and here, this is in Photoshop, so this is kind of like the last step before this particular graphic was ready. So we have this yellow color going, it's kind of goldish, but we wanted it to feel a bit more realistic and regal, and so we did this kind of gold gilded look, and for all the screen graphics. And
so that's the finished product, and then we have to do something else, which is we got to get into the video.
Taking into the video, and so preparing that graphic. So every color you see here is a different piece that I had to pull back out of that graphic to get ready for Brantley and his video team to create the bumper video they did, which was just amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Excellent.
We're going to show that in a second, but I think there's just a lot of attention that goes into what we do in that department to help support our lead pastor, Pastor Phil, where he's teaching, where he's going, and Jared's a big part of that. So, man, we're so glad that you're here, and I can't say that.
Still can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, give Jared a hand.
Thanks.
The final piece to this was we really wanted to create a bumper for Pastor Phil that he could jump off of and into his message that was deep and thoughtful and connected these ideas of working and worship and witnessing. And so I want to show that to you here. This is what Jared has completed, and he's handed off to our video guy named Brantley, and then our video team takes it from there. So let's show that to you right now.
Darkness. It's how our story begins. Prophecy foretold of a Messiah, an anointed king that would deliver us from darkness and establish his kingdom. Centuries became millennia. Kings came and went. But the one true light had not yet shined. Until one fateful night, with a star to guide the way, the due date finally arrived. He came not as a conquering king, but rather a baby in a manger. Born of a virgin, he was the light of the world. Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, Everlasting Father. He was the perfect sacrifice, forsaken and pierced for our transgressions. We are here to advance the kingdom in preparation for the King's second coming. Time is short, so work fervently, shine his light, and be living proof. His final due date is coming.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I love when all of those things come together and then we have a great series like Due Date. This is Debbie Stiegler. Could you welcome her to our stage, please? Debbie, why don't you share your role, how long you've been here, and what it is you kind of do?
Yeah, so I'm the Community Relations Director. That means I connect Abundant Life to our community, and I also oversee our outreaches, 5 of them. And that's the Polar Party, the Carnival, Downtown Days, Leaders Exchange, things like that. And then lastly, I help to oversee all of our serve teams across the ministry. So I've been here on staff for 2 years, and I have been a member of Abundant for about 4 years.
And Debbie, like she just mentioned, oversees things like Polar Party, Carnival, Leaders Exchange. Can you tell us why we do those events?
Yeah. So, we ask ourselves the question, if we were not here as Abundant Life in Lee Summit, would they miss us? And that's really important to us because we want to be a light to our city. So some of the things that we do in terms of outreach help us to be a light to our city. And that's super important to us. We also try to provide opportunities where we can all love on each other, but also love on people outside of here, because part of our vision is to be living proof of a loving God to a watching world. And 1 John 4:8 says that whoever does not love is not of God, because God is love. And so I think the greatest example of this is when we get to do the Love KC project. That's in April. You'll have an opportunity to be a part of that. But people will be able to love on the homeless, love on girls that are coming out of sex trafficking and are on a healing journey, love on people that are at the Ronald McDonald House, having families there that have terminally ill children. We can love on them. We can love on refugees. But we deployed about 1,200 people last year through Love KC in 60 different projects and ministries. And we're going to do more than that even this year. So that's one of the purposes. And then lastly, it's just to, we love that. Yeah. And then we also, and most importantly, we want to have outreach opportunities that are platforms for us to present the gospel and have spiritual conversations with other people. I think the best example of this, Sean, is our Leaders Exchange events. So these are breakfasts that we put on a nice program. We have great speakers, great information. It's a time to be inspired and informed. Our next one is coming up January 16th with Cindy Olson. She was a part of the executive committee that was a part of the rise and the fall of Enron, which is one of the greatest examples of a failure in terms of business in our country. And she'll be here speaking. And people can bring, if you work with people, you have colleagues, partners in business, you bring them to this event for the purpose of God opening a door so that you can have a spiritual conversation with them, right? So we're all about finding opportunities and letting God plant seeds and watering those seeds, and that's what the Leaders Exchange is. And all of our outreach opportunities are just platforms for us to bring people that are far from God and bring them, expose them to the truth of the gospel, and help them to live on mission after they give their heart to the Lord.
Yeah, it's awesome. We all get to partake in these events that you put on. Can you tell us, because it doesn't just happen, I'm sure, it's a lot of planning. Can you tell us a little bit of what that takes to put some of these things on, like Carnival, Polar Party?
Yeah, so collectively, 2,600 of you helped us to put on our events last year. That's 2,600 volunteers, so yay for you guys. Thank you so much. Donations, we had 5,000 cookies, we had 7,000 hot dogs, we had 6,357 ounces of nacho cheese. I could go on and on with the numbers. The point is, it takes a village. It takes all of us together to put on these parties for the city. And we start a year in advance. So I know Athena was working last week on trying to find a reindeer. I've mentioned this every single service. If you know of a reindeer that we can rent for 4 hours, call me, let me know. But we're already starting to work on our events for next year.
Awesome. So you kind of already mentioned, but why is it important that any of us are involved in this? Helping put these on.
Yeah, and like I say, it's so that we can have those spiritual conversations, right? People, and I think it's so neat because the church is intentional about everything that we do. I think our volunteers are so awesome that they know it's not about grilling the hot dog. It's not about passing out the cookie or standing by the inflatable. It's waiting for those moments to have great conversations with people. I had a great conversation at the Polar Party. A lady touched my heart when we were eating kettle corn together, out on a chair, and she just shared. She was going through a really tough time, and her husband was in prison, and she was trying to keep the kids and the grandkids together, and had just come to Abundant Life, and it was a divine appointment, and truly, that's what it's all about. And everyone gets involved, yes, because we truly need the help to put the events on, but most importantly, our volunteers get so blessed, Sean. It is a blessing, and we see great fruit from our labor.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really awesome. I know that some may be asking the question here, these are great events and it's so fun to go to, but does it really make a difference? I mean, is really anybody's life changed? I mean, we put a lot of money into this and resources and time. Does it really make a difference to somebody in the area of faith or the area of maybe attending church?
Well, there's no doubt about it. So I know the Sunday after we have an event, we always have visitors here for the first time that are checking out Abundant Life because they came to a Polar Party or a carnival. And it's so neat at our carnival this year. If you were underneath the tent when Team Extreme, the strong guys, were presenting the gospel, they had people give their heart to the Lord right then and there on our parking lot back here underneath the tent. And our prayer team was out there also. They had a prayer tent, and they had 5 or 6 people come to know the Lord during the carnival. So yes, there is definitely fruit for our labor. And when I go to a Chamber of Commerce or event, or go to the schools for our partners in education, they know us. The police department knows us because we do things like this. And again, it would matter if Abundant Life wasn't in our city, and I think we're proud of that.
Yeah, we are proud of that, and you're part of this, so we're really grateful for you to be part of this. And Debbie, in one word, Debbie is awesome. She does her job incredibly well, and we're so honored and thankful that she's on our staff. So thanks for all that you do. We love you and are so thankful that you're here. We want to move to the area of generosity because giving away what God has given us is important to us, and the carnival is part of that. But one of the things that we did this year together, you were all part of this, we raised enough money on one day to build this brand new food pantry for our city. So I think that's pretty amazing that we did that together, and God's doing some amazing things through it. You know, on the first day that we opened this, we had 56 people, 56 families represented, and that was a record for a Monday, I think, is when that opened. We saw one salvation that day as well. You know, they don't just get food, they get the gospel, and that's very, very important to us that we do that. You know, over the last year, we've given away over 500,000 pounds of food. We've reached over 3,000 families. So what God is doing through that food pantry is amazing. So thank you for being part of it. One other thing that I wanted to kind of highlight that we just got done doing is something called Abundant Christmas Blessing. Many of you are part of that. What we do there is we want to bless families that may not have enough resources for Christmas for their kids. You guys rallied around that, and this year we gave away 141 gifts for kids, or 141 children were given Christmas by you. That's huge and that's massive. So thank you for being part of that. We also don't just give away these gifts, we share the gospel with them as well. And in those conversations, 2 of those people accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. So they crossed over from death to life. So that's an absolute celebration. We, just a couple of things. Let's wrap up here with some things that we can celebrate together as a church that happened this year. Our lead pastor, you know, as David said, we're so thankful for Pastor Phil. We're so thankful for the way he leads us and teaches and guides. And this year he wrote his first book called Defeating the Enemy. Huge thing for our church and for our body. Many of you read that book. We had a series built around it. We sold over 5,300 copies of that, and all of those resources came back to the ministry of Abundant Life to reach more people.
It's awesome. We also, this year, launched Discover Church up in the Northland. Jernigan Schwent and his family went up. And man, it's been so cool to watch what God is doing up in North KC this year.
Yeah, and then in January, just in a couple days, amazing, that's weird. It's true. But just in January, we're going to launch another church called Three Trails Community, which is Blake Fortner and his family who have gone to South KC and have really reached out to that community in a real powerful way. And we're going to be excited to see what God does through them in the next year.
And another major thing this next year, I'm incredibly excited about this is a first for our church. We're launching our first satellite campus in Blue Springs. So Abundant Life Blue Springs is coming mid-2019. So yeah, we can praise God for these things.
We're excited about that. One of the things you may not know that happens every week is that we stream our services online, and it goes all around the world. And every weekend on these services, we have about 300-ish people that attend church online. They worship, they hear the Word of God, they give, they're connected in a different way than you are. And it's an effective ministry that we are praying that God blesses for 2019. It's an amazing opportunity for us as a church to reach out that way. So I just want to encourage you to be praying with us that God would allow us to really develop that and reach out to more people. I want to invite the worship team on stage here. And then what I want to invite you to do with us is we want to get on our knees and we want to come before the King. We want to celebrate 2018, but we really want to pray desperately for the move of God in our church and in our city for 2019. So as we kneel here together, I want to invite you to kneel with us if you can. I know that not everybody can, and that's okay, but if you would, and you would join us in this opportunity to come before the Lord and to ask His blessing for 2019 as we step into a new year with some new opportunities, and to be grateful for what He has done in and through this church. So let's bow our heads in prayer. Lord, we come before you this morning because we're quite frankly just incredibly honored that you would use us to further your kingdom on this earth. And we want to be grateful and thankful for that. I think of all of the Israelites in the altars that they would build to remember a move of God, so that their children would remember that this right here, God did this. And so, Father, today we do that in this place. As we remember back to 2018, all of the things that you have done, the life change, the baptisms, the people crossing the threshold to serve, to reach a community. And Lord, we right now desperately call upon you for 2019. Lord, we want to see more people move from death to life. We want to see more people's lives change because they've heard the gospel and they have recognized that there's a God who cares deeply for them and wants nothing more than to have a relationship with them. I pray that you would bring people into this community that we're uncomfortable with because, Father, it's that desire for us to reach every man. Father, help us to set aside our preconceived ideas of what that should look like and be okay with brokenness in this place, because you're the restorer, you're the healer, you are the forgiver, you're the one that we desperately need, God, and I know that I need to be changed, so change me. And Father, as we step into 2019, I pray that in a year from now, we would be able to look back and not be able to explain what happened in this place because it was so enormously more than ever we could hope for or imagine. And that the only one that we could attribute it to would be you. So God, may you be glorified in all that we're doing. May you be the one that is honored and lifted up. And may we go into a community and a world with the gospel of truth and hope. May you go before us. We love you. We worship you. We praise you. We thank you that we have something to look back on and something to look forward to. And it's in your name that I pray. Amen. Thanks for being here today. As you guys stand to your feet, just I pray that you would have a great new year, a safe new year. As you come back next week, we're going to be launching into a series called Fearless. We hope you can join us. I'd love to meet you out at the story room. Next Steps table out there can help any of you take a next step in your walk with Christ. Thank you for being here. Have a great, safe new year.